biggest factor was like not having any kind of counselor who sort of walked me through what to expect. And not that I would have been helpful to have somebody that spoke the language in Italian to explain that to me, but it was more of, how are you doing? Sort of like even just kind of weekly. What would have helped was to have somebody at the school that on a regular basis, whether it's weekly or monthly, would sort of check in with me and say, okay, how are things going? What can we do? How can we help? How can the school help? It really was a sink or swim situation. They didn't have any kind of counseling system to help that. And that, I think, would have helped me get through it a little bit easier.
Okay, so what is the hardest and easiest part about your students' adjustment?
I'm going to say the hardest part is depending on whether there are other students from their same cultural and linguistic background, the hardest part can be loneliness. And I've seen that many, many times. Students who are the only one who speak their language, who are from their culture. And
how do you think the system could be improved?
I have to first of all say I'm very proud of the teachers on my staff. They, making sure that they are including and effectively teaching multilingual language learners is at the front of their minds. Most of the time. And so I am really proud of how far we've come as a staff. And our principal is very much a big part of that. That is something she puts out there all the time. But in general, we do still need to teach using what's called universal design. I don't know how widely that term is used, whether that's a term that's familiar to you. So the idea being that you don't just create special adaptations and accommodations for students who are not part of the mainstream in some way, but you make your mainstream plans, physical building plans, instructional lesson plans, extracurricular plans. You design your program so that everyone is included from the start. So you don't say, oh, if you have English learners in your class, make sure that you have visuals to accompany your slides. Everybody always has visuals, as part of their slides. So that would be an example of universal design. You always have closed captioning if you're showing a video. Try playing the video at 75% speed, and just making little things like that part of your practice for all students, because it's, quite honestly, it will probably benefit others besides just the multilingual students. So that's the idea behind universal design. You make sure that you are always looking to include everybody. So I just mentioned a few instructional practices, and then just you create an atmosphere that is respectful of all cultures in a lot of ways. Little things like having multilingual signage in the building, just to make it easier for newcomers to not be lost in the building. Where's the library and office and so on. And you do your best to include other languages. You do something different from what I did when Christian first came on. I said your name before hearing you say it. And so I have a practice in both my general education classes and my ESL classes. I project the seating chart. This is, of course, when we're in person, but I did it in pretty much the same way online. And I point to each student's name and ask them to introduce themselves, so that I'm not stumbling over anybody's names. We all hear their names said correctly. And then I check with everybody. Now, did I say that correctly? I don't only ask the international students. Did I say your name correctly? Just lots of little things like that that make it clear that everybody's on equal footing, and we show respect for everybody.